Free expression is such a big issue in schools today. There's a paradox happening where on the one hand you've got political figures saying that we need to increase freedom of expression in places like universities and in public discourse, while the same voices are saying that we need to stop young people from learning about racism, LGBTQ plus inclusion. So this is a major contradiction that we're addressing in this study. The study was called Free Expression at School, the Making of Youth Engagements with Race and Faith, and it was funded by the Leverhulme Trust. There was a 4-person team involving myself, my colleague Professor Reza Gholami, my colleague Dr. Asla Kandemir, and my colleague Dr. Sajid Rahman.
Qualitative dimensions had a wide scope. The analysis of government policy documents, interviews with 27 key policy stakeholders, and focus groups and interviews with young people and teachers across 6 different schools in Birmingham and London. And we also conducted 4 case studies in 4 of those schools. In every aspect of this research, we worked really meticulously and conducted this research very carefully with high ethical standards and also with innovative and participatory methods, which makes it also very important.
We designed the national survey to reflect the voices of year 10, 14 to 15 years old students from across England. 52% of the students said that they tend to keep their feelings private. So these underscore that there is a lack of open dialogue in school, which shows the infrastructure within the school that constraining the students' voices around race and ethnicity issues.
The issue is that they feel that often it's not worth talking about those things because of their concerns about being judged, for example, or not being properly listened to. Or sometimes they're worried about being disciplined because of what they have to say. Research on race and ethnicity in society in general has shown that people from minoritized backgrounds in particular feel less safe expressing themselves because of the issue of racism in society. Young people from more working class and higher poverty backgrounds were actually less inclined to view school as a place that needed to support them on expressing themselves on these issues, whereas young people from more middle class contexts were actually more likely to expect that school would address these issues for them.
Our data shows that where the anti-racism topics are discussed within school, like Black Lives Matter, students are 3 times more likely to say that teachers allow them to express themselves, share their opinion around social and political issues.
One of the most important things that the research did itself was give a space to young people so that they could express themselves in ways that everyday life in school might not necessarily let them do.
The photo voice activity is one of our arts-based participatory research methods that we applied in this research. It has given us a great opportunity to understand which structures enable young people when they want to express themselves and how freely they can express themselves within those structures. We asked them to take photos of different moments, items, to be able to show us what they perceive when they're even walking to the school, illustrating race, ethnicity, and equality for them. And then we come together and look at those photos and we talk about those photos, and young people themselves make me understand what they mean and how they can be also used as a way of expression in terms of race and faith equality issues.
Only 43% of the students said that the history of their ethnic minority is accurately taught in the school. And when we looked closer, the proportion of Black, African, Caribbean, and Asian students is much higher, disagreeing with the statement that their history is accurately taught. The school should rethink about the way they are teaching history in their schools.
Birmingham, being a no-majority city, has been so important because it makes young people feel safer. Our strong partnership with the wider network, as well as Birmingham City Council, has been so effective in finding ways to turn our findings into CPD development. In fact, we are working a number of experienced education advisors to do so. We are seeing already that this is going to be a real-world impact in schools and communities by equipping teachers with race and faith equality.
The university is a place where you've got a critical mass of researchers doing important work on the responsibility of the education system, whether it's schools, colleges, or this university itself, to address legacies and continuing experiences of racism that minoritized communities have felt in the UK and in Birmingham. We've got a world-leading centre for research on race and education in our school, the School of Education at the university, where you've just got this fantastic group of researchers doing really, really important work on race and religion and intersecting inequalities in education. I've been head of research in the School of Education here at the university for the past 4 years. We've got some of the most really world-leading work on areas of inclusive education, like on disability and on race in particular. It's just a great environment for academics to work on these issues together and to develop those networks with partners in the city, in the UK and internationally.
The uniqueness of the School of Education within Birmingham University is there are quite a bit of studies around inclusion, race, ethnicities being happening, and the stakeholders in England, they are very aware of the study we have been doing in this school, and that's why they had trust on us, and that's how we get access to that sort of wide population.
It is important to understand each contextual background and each difference, because it is important to be able to understand how young people express themselves in different contexts and how we can listen to them and make them heard.
The project has been running for almost 3 years now, so we now have a really strong evidence base to build a field that's looking at freedom of expression on equality issues in schools, not just in the UK but around the world. In England, we've had official Department for Education proposal that teaching about gender identity in schools should be banned. What we want to do is really work with our partners in NGOs in England and the UK to address the silencing and banning of certain issues in schools. In Britain, there still is a reasonably liberal approach to education despite these difficulties, whereas in some other countries, we literally cannot enter schools to talk about these things because they are banned. There is a plan with government support that young people at the age of 16 will be able to access certain types of voting that really can inform and help us understand how young people learn about citizenship and political issues or don't, and therefore help really make votes for 16 a success, particularly with racially and religiously minoritized young people. And the way we're going to do that is really working with policymakers and practitioners through using our evidence, both to help policymakers see where the gaps are and also to support practitioners through continuing professional development. So what we want to do is develop this project more internationally and provide evidence that counters some of the narrative out there that really suggests that young people are too woke or too fragile or too online, whereas in fact young people are suppressing their views, and we really need to change that.